Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the weekly for the sign of Libra. So Libra, you're up. And we're going to go ahead and get right into the December 29th, January 4th reading for you. We're going to pull out your three romance angel messages and then your three animal spirits. All right, Libra? All right, so it's the last week of 2019, everyone, going into 2020. It's been a year, right? This has been a real up and down year. Certainly this last month has been a real eye-opener for a lot of us. But let's get right into it. Straight out, we have religious factors for you, Libra. Oftentimes that can indicate issues with background culture or perhaps your religious background, perhaps having something sort of an impact on your love life, right? Codependency, addictions, right? All kinds of addictions. And then we have soulmate. Now, soulmate has literally come out for, I think, almost all of the readings this week. And some, pretty much, I'm going to say at least for 4 or 5 of the readings. Let's go ahead and pull out your animal spirit. And of course, cross watchers, you know, you'll notice that whenever we have the same message coming out like soulmate for a lot of the readings, you know, that means that a lot of the connections are there, right? All right. Let's pull out your three animal spirits, Libra, and then we'll see what you may or may not be sort of resonating with this week. Animal spirits can also indicate other individuals, their characteristics or personality traits. And it can indicate energies that are becoming available to you or stages in your life that you might be entering into right now. So, again, as always, Libra, just take what applies to you and just let the rest go. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. It's not for you, right? Okay, so we have the beaver, lovely water spirit, the air spirit of the crow, totem of magic, lovely. And we have the golden egg associated with the 4th chakra, which is the heart chakra. Beautiful. All right, so beaver energy is water energy, right? And the beaver is one of these really, really sort of goal-orientated creatures, right? In terms of how hard it works, how diligently it really is tirelessly putting its effort in. And oftentimes, of course, we know beavers, they build dams, right? And this is where they live. So they really essentially make their homes in the water. And so in this way, even though it is a strong earth creature, it is really associated with the element of water, because beavers' greatest skill and ability is to create a stable and firm foundation emotionally for itself and for its family, right? So the beaver is really sort of that hardworking, tireless sort of individual who does whatever it can to make sure that the people that it loves is cared for, you know, physically, right, and emotionally. Very, very strong. Now, the crow is the totem of magic, right? This is one of the, certainly one of the sort of most auspicious animals in the realm of witchcraft and magic in general. And the crow just represents a time in your life where you really should open up your eyes, because magic is happening all around you. You may also be calling in elements of magic consciously. And the crow comes in to let you know, to reaffirm that indeed, you know, magic is happening. Magic is possible. When we talk about magic, though, I mean, we don't mean like, you know, fairy tale sort of Disney stuff. It's, you know, magic is really a lot to do with sort of intention and desire of how we go through life, right? How we see life, being able to see deeper, being able to see more, being able to make exactly the right decision at the right time, because we're really drawing on a lot of energies, you know. calling sort of events to you, calling people towards you, right? They don't just suddenly appear, like I said, but magic is all about sort of intention. And over time, you can create your own reality with that. You can manifest your own dreams. And so the Crow really talks about opening your eyes to the magic of life all around us. I mean, I often just marvel at life alone. If you ever take a moment to think about ourselves in this world, you know, the fact that we exist, that we are in these bodies, that we have these beautiful sort of things around us from nature that grow, you know, it's just incredible. To me, that is magic. And so in a lot of ways, opening your mind and consciousness to that will only draw you in deeper, draws you in deeper to the nature of how sort of life works. And so it's just like the magician, you're able to handle everything much more skilled and much more fluidly. Now we have the golden egg, which is the heart chakra associated with the fourth chakra, okay? So the golden egg is golden because in order to open up the heart chakra, we require warmth, we require understanding, sensitivity, right? But the warmth that we feel with each other when we are sincere, when we are sort of sending out our love, right? Sending out our sort of feelings of, you know, good feelings of support and nurturing. This is all sort of part of that golden feeling, that warm feeling, and it allows the heart to open up. And so when the golden egg shows up, it tends to talk about, you know, the need for the heart to open, the need for the heart to sort of warm, right? To warm up and to have compassion and understanding for people, and sort of to allow them also sort of to open up their heart chakra, you know, so that they can express their feelings. Ultimately, we want the heart chakra to be open and connected to the throat chakra, right? So that we can actually express how we feel. And so this is something you're going through right now, Libra. Some of you. Let's go ahead and pull out your spreads. You can pull out anywhere from 4 to 5, 6 spreads, 3-card spreads. See what you're going through this week, Libra. And of course, again, these forecasts, these 3-card spreads or forecast outlooks for the week, they're really meant to be separate from each other. So, you know, what one Libra may experience or resonate with one forecast, they may not resonate with the other forecast because that may be for a completely different Libra, and that's fine. It's really down to what applies to you and your life situation. So let's see what your first one is for this week. All right, Libra, we have the King of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, and we have the Sun. Beautiful. So, very nice. Some of you, King of Pentacles, of course, you're on top of your game. You're working very hard. You have a lot of success under your belt already. And you're busy with your business and or career, right, Libra? So you are sort of on your career path right now, right? Abundance is coming in. You certainly live a good lifestyle. You have already, you know, King of Pentacles is a certain status. You've already sort of developed a certain sort of level of mastery. You've achieved a certain amount of success. As I said, you've also sort of managed to cultivate respect amongst your peers in your field or your career. And so this is feeling quite good. But you come up against this week a Knight of Cups. So Libra, someone wants to hand you a cup of love, right? Someone sees you and, you know, it's very simple. But this is definitely for Libra who is in charge in a business or a career, or who's quite high up, who definitely has a lot of sort of experience, like I said. So really, you know, this is pretty straightforward. You have somebody wanting to offer you a cup of love, and you round the week off with Sun energy. Sun does bring clarity, and so it could very well be, because you wonder to yourself, well, why would a spread like this come out? It's so sort of straightforward, right? Rich Libra has a knight in shining armor come for them, and everything works out nice. You know, I mean, but there's deeper meaning here. So there's a reason why this spread came up. The one thing with the Sun is that it does bring clarity. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to work out, or this connection is going to happen exactly the way you imagine it or you want it to. The Sun brings clarity, and so I would say for some of you there may be something a little bit confusing perhaps at first, There's something amiss or out of place at first with this Knight of Cups. And all will be revealed towards the end of the week. And I think that that is the reason why this spread actually came out, because although it looks pretty straightforward, it isn't that straightforward. And remember, the Knight of Cups, although he is sincere when he's saying the things he's saying, he also is still only beginning to learn and understand his emotions. You can see here that the water is very sort of small and scant, you know. It's like, it's almost as if it's just a trickle, a stream. It isn't a roaring river, and it's certainly not a whole ocean in which the King of Cups has set his throne. And so this really alludes to the fact that the Knight of Cups is only just now beginning to skim the surface of his emotions. He really doesn't know what he's feeling just yet. And so although the Knight is sincere, he isn't that committed. And it's a case of, you know, if he tells you he loves you today, he means it. But if tomorrow he says, well, you know what, I'm ready to move on, he means that also, you know. A lot of times I do readings for people and they're like, well, but he told me or she told me she loved me, and then the next day, you know, she's acted different. And they're like super confused, you know. It's like, you know, hold people to the same level as you hold yourself. You know, we all have different emotions, and sometimes we don't know what our emotions are. And even though we're honest about what we're expressing, that doesn't mean that tomorrow our emotions can't change. Somebody can love you today, tell you, mean it, and then tomorrow tell you that they love somebody else and mean that too, right? And people should really not be so shocked about that, because in general, most people are very sort of, you know, unpredictable in that way, or unreliable in that way, right? So King of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Sun. Just watch out and take care. There's going to be some more that needs to be revealed about this connection. King of Wands, Star energy, Seven of Cups. So King of Wands is someone who's another king, right? So Libra, this king, if you're resonating with, is really all about sort of having his vision manifested, right? This is not so much about career and business necessarily, but your passions, right? King of Wands is about manifesting his vision, his passions, going out and being, you know, creative in his manifestation as well. The King of Wands is also the natural leader, right? You would see, you know, and some of us think that, well, aren't all kings leaders? Well, not really. Not in the tarot. Not all of them are necessarily leaders, but the King of Wands is absolutely meant to be a leader, and so he leads by example. People follow his example. He's oftentimes the teacher, the wise man who comes in. He shows the way, right? He shows the way of how to go after your ambitions and how to go after your desires. So you're resonating with this right now, and you're coming up against star energy. So this week you're really working on your dream, right? Your life's dream. But you round off the week with a Seven of Cups. And Seven of Cups can be quite delusional thinking, right? It's associated with delusions. It's associated with sort of assuming that things are, you know, a fairy tale, or assuming that a fairy tale ending is the only way to find happiness. A lot of the things that he's wishing for in this image are unrealistic, right? They're unrealistic dreams. And that's the other thing with Seven of Cups, is oftentimes having our head in the clouds and really wishing for an unrealistic outcome. You know, this idea that, you know, sometimes if an example could be like, you know, hoping and wishing for your soulmate to come in, and you meet somebody and, oh, it's all just, you know, you get along with them and you're just laughing, and all of a sudden you're taking that as deep sign that you're connected. And then now you have this whole vision of living this fairy tale happily ever after. But life just isn't like that. Relationships just aren't like that. A lot of times it's Seven of Cups as well. It's this kind of daydreaming attitude where your head is in the clouds, but are you making real steps towards realistic goals and objectives, realistic sort of outcomes and relationships? And so Seven of Cups can certainly be, you know, someone who's, you know, you end up sort of stuck. Also, it can be sometimes, you know, if you get sold a fairy tale, you know, you can get sold a fairy tale idea or a happily ever after by somebody who's manipulating you, you know, you fall for that. You know, sometimes this is the easiest way to manipulate people, to sell them their dream, tell them they can have it. And then when it doesn't come through, they're left standing there kind of shocked and bewildered and stunned. And I just can't believe this happened. Well, it happens. People do that all the time, you know. And so be very careful. Be very grounded. Because right now, Libra, this week, some of you are certainly working on a wish fulfillment for your life. The star talks about, you know, star energy is about constantly sort of, you see her, she's constantly sort of irrigating the waters, constantly pouring her emotions into the ground, right? Constantly putting her emotional sort of energy into the practical side of creating her dreams, creating her wish, right? When we wish upon a star, right? And so in this way, you know, it's this kind of real strong sort of almost a dharma, a way of living your life in dharma where every step that you take, every move you make is towards your ultimate goal. So just take care with that Seven of Cups that someone has not either sold you a dream or kept your head in the clouds, or that you haven't been swept away with something and now you're kind of like not working towards it anymore, but only just sort of imagining it or daydreaming about it all the time. There we have the Hanged Man, Nine of Swords, and the Moon. Wow. All right, so it's been a while since the Hanged Man has showed up in the readings. Hanged Man is all about extreme awakening. All right, a very strong, impactful, you know, awakening. Boom, he's wide awake. He realizes something has inspired him. The Hanged Man is all about inspiration. It's all about waking up because of inspiration. And the Nine of Swords is interesting because there's a guilt there, right? So you've woken up to a particular situation, right, Libra, and yet you come up against this Nine of Swords, which is a feeling of a little bit of guilt, regret, anxiety. Oftentimes, the Nine of Swords represents feelings that we have about ourselves. So it's very much a case of sort of putting yourself through the ringer. It doesn't necessarily ever mean that there was something you legitimately have to feel guilty for, right? And the guilt is anyway really an it's an unhealthy and sort of unnecessary emotion. It just, you know, gums up the works, right? But Nine of Swords is a situation where you're getting a lot of sleepless nights. You're not able to be comfortable. You're worrying. You have a lot of anxiety. And a lot of times it's the feeling of, you know, regret, or the feeling of, you know, what have I done? Feeling that you're being haunted by something, haunted perhaps by your, you know, your imagined sins, right? Or even maybe your real sins. A feeling of, you know, am I going to, you know, what have I done? I'm going to have to pay for this, right? Or, you know, what have I done? This is, you know, I'm going to just get right back into whatever toxic situation I was in before. It's a doubt, right? It's a heavy doubt, a heavy anxiety. And really, it's awful because it's something that we generally go through by ourselves. No one really can help you out of this but yourself, right? And so with this awakening, you're having some of these sleepless nights. Probably it could be that, you know, you have awakened to a certain situation and now you're feeling bad that it took you this long to wake up. You may have stayed in a particular environment or relationship that now looking back on it, you just can't believe you stayed there for so long. And part of this awakening sometimes can certainly, you know, the Hanged Man, once when he wakes up, he can certainly bring a kind of initial shock period, you know what I mean? Or initial kind of like period of like, oh God, it took me this long to kind of get out of that headspace, or to wake up to the fact that I need to behave differently or do this or do that to get what I want. And so you round off the week with Moon energy, and this is a real testing phase for you. Not only do you wake up, but events come in this week that really test your resolve to move forward, or will you go ahead and just fall right back into old, easy, and lazy habits? And so not everything is revealed, you know. That's why the moon is a testing phase. When we're tested, we're not given the answers. You know, we're not given exactly everything we need to know to just put the answer together. We also have to figure out part of it. There's a component of ourselves that we have to put into any test. And this is why the moon is also associated with hidden information and hidden emotions, etc. Because it is essentially at its core, the moon is not about hidden information. At its core, the moon card is about testing and being tested. All right? And oftentimes I see this card misinterpreted, and many times I see that when it's been read, it's the fact that this period is more to test your resolve has completely been ignored. And that's really the essence of the moon. Knight of Swords, Eight of Wands, and the Five of Cups. This is going to be the last spread, my lovely Libra. Knight of Swords is all about coming in and really cutting away any obstacles towards his objective, right? The Knight of Swords, and Swords being a mental card, an emotional, a communication card, excuse me, a mental and communication card. Knights are always associated with air. So here we have the airiest card in the deck, the most airy court card in the deck, right? And so the Knight of Swords is the type of knight that's going to come in. He's going to use his mind and his words and his communication to get rid of obstacles. This is the person who can easily debate you under the table. This is the person who can come up with really quick solutions. His thinking is clear, logical, extremely logical, but he's also quite aggressive, right? He's very aggressive in achieving what he wants to achieve or putting his point across. And so you're resonating with that this week, Libra. You are, of course, air yourself. So you can certainly be resonating with this Knight of Swords energy. And you come across an Eight of Wands, and it just seems to be more and more mixed messages, right? You're on your path to try to kind of achieve something here with this Knight of Swords, but all of a sudden it's like, this feels very much like, Libra, you coming up against an old lover, an old relationship, or someone perhaps you broke up with a while back. And all of a sudden there's a lot of mixed emotions, mixed feelings, and mixed messages. And you round the week off with a Five of Cups, because it's almost as if running into this person has pulled you right back to where you were with them when you were with them. And it clearly it broke up, right? And so it's almost like this feeling of, well, did we do the right thing? Did we really break up? I think the golden egg, the heart chakra is opening up here. It could very well be someone, perhaps maybe you guys, when you broke apart, maybe it was really a rough breakup, or maybe it was really emotional, etc. Or you were like, I'm done, But now this week, coming back in contact with them and having all of these kind of mixed signals, mixed emotions, mixed messages, it's like it's almost like pushing you to revisit everything that happened in the past, and you're kind of stuck there now. Did I do the right thing? Didn't I? Should I bother looking to the future or not? And this is quite interesting. This can oftentimes happen when we run into an ex, and emotions are fevered and difficult and confusing. And one minute you still hate them, and the next minute all of a sudden they're attractive to you again. But what I would say to you is that whenever a relationship breaks up and you go through something like this, just look, when you look back, don't look back through the eyes of regret. Look back through the eyes of 2020. Hindsight is 2020. So when you look back, don't color it to be a different picture than it is. If it fell apart, you probably were going through the same shit that you're now beginning to go through again with this individual. And do you really want to do that again? Sometimes, we run into old flames or old lovers, and it's like only one side of the situation pulls at our heartstrings, and we quickly forget the misery. We quickly forget how, our heartstrings were pulled before, and then they were constantly dropped, and it was this constant up and down, or whatever that, whatever your dysfunction or codependent dynamic was, running into this person who is clearly in your past and gone, broken up, and then allowing yourself to mentally and emotionally go back into that situation is the very heart of codependency. This is the essence of, on again, off again relationships, toxic relationships that you just can't seem to let go of, even though every time it's the same shit, and it's the same cycle, and it's almost like you have this amnesia each time. You forget how this is, this idea of like, well, maybe this time it'll be different. Okay, well, you decide how many times you want to go through this before you finally realize it's not going to be any different. Both people have to want to change. Not only you, but the other person has to want to change, right? And also you have to want to change. There are things, oftentimes when we see relationships in the hindsight, we put so much responsibility on the other person, and how much, if they would just change, if they would just do this, if they. What about you? What can you bring to the table to change this dynamic and to change this codependent sort of cycle? Right? It's all well and good to be Mr. or Miss Solution Man over here, but if you can't sort of apply that to this situation and be more logical and more realistic and more honest with yourself, you're doomed to sort of repeat this cycle. So take care, Libra. You really deserve a lot better than that. You do have the capability of it. You just really have to be more sort of conscious and present and eyes wide open. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it. This is your reading, December 29th to January 4th. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Turn on the notification. Turn on that bell, you know, because I premiere all my videos. I also do giveaways, you know. And I'm still waiting for the winner of the deck to get in contact with me. And after the new year, if this person doesn't contact me, I'm going to have to pick another winner. So, you know, if you want to be involved with my channel, want to be involved with the giveaways, you definitely have to hit that bell. If you want to get a private reading, you can go ahead and follow those links at the top of your screen. Please make sure to read the description when you're booking the service. And for the rest, my lovely Libra, have a wonderful last week of 2019 and a great, great beginning week of 2020. Bye-bye now.